When you live paycheck to paycheck, you find yourself constantly struggling to have enough money, and this never-ending cycle of financial worry is both stressful and exhausting, because at any moment, a flat tire, a speeding ticket, or a broken water heater could be the difference between paying your bills and not paying your bills. How do I know this? Because I've lived that life. During college and shortly after, my bank account hit 1 and 2 figures multiple times. I specifically remember a time when my brother and I needed to make $37 last for 2 weeks, so we ate peanut butter sandwiches every meal until we got paid. If you're currently living paycheck to paycheck, you're in that situation because your income to expense ratio is unbalanced. In other words, you spend too much and you don't make enough. Now, I know that's obvious, just like the solution to this problem is both obvious and simple. You need to make more and spend less. But just because something is simple doesn't make it easy. So in this video, I'm gonna help you break out of the never-ending stressful cycle of living paycheck to paycheck by sharing 4 ideas that can help you spend less and 4 ideas that can help you make more money. Also, be sure to stick around until the end of the video because I have a bonus tip that I think you'll find very helpful. Let's get started. Let's start with 4 ideas that can help you spend less money. Idea number 1 is find free or more affordable alternatives. In many cases, there's a free alternative to the things that you're doing. So for example, instead of buying books or movies, you could borrow them for free from the library. Or instead of paying to go to a theme park or an indoor pool, you could get creative and have just as much fun at a local park, a lake, or the beach. If a free alternative doesn't exist, there's almost certainly a more affordable way to do most things. For example, I used to get my hair cut every 3 weeks for $35, which is about $600 per year. But after doing some research, I realized that I could buy a professional set of hair clippers for about $200 and teach myself how to cut my own hair. Now, I've been doing this for 15 years, which means I've saved about $9,000 on haircuts. Finally, in the rare case that there isn't a more affordable option, patience can help you save money if you don't need something right away. For example, if you're looking to buy a new GoPro camera, you might wait until the new model comes out so you can buy the old model at a discount. Or you might wait until a sale like Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Idea number 2 is swap services. When I was starting my e-commerce brand, my brother and I needed legal advice, but we didn't have a lot of money. Our company sold high-end carbon fiber bicycle wheels like you'd see in the Tour de France or an Ironman triathlon. And thankfully, we were lucky enough to meet an attorney who loved cycling. I think he recognized that we were young and didn't have a lot of money, so he suggested that we swap services. So we gave him free bicycle wheels in exchange for free legal services. And those cost savings in the early days were extremely helpful. Thankfully, you can use the same idea to save money as well. So for example, assume you're really good with cars, computers, or marketing. Well, you can offer those services in exchange for the things that you need. Now, not everyone will be open to the idea of swapping services, but many people are, so it never hurts to ask. Just make sure that what you're offering has a similar value to what you're asking for. Idea number 3 is share resources. A friend of mine with a young family was shopping for a home, and instead of paying double for a house with a big yard and a pool, he moved to a neighborhood that had a lot of amenities. So he lives in a beautiful house with a small yard, but he lives across the street from a park that has multiple playgrounds, swimming pools, tennis courts, and a fitness center. Ultimately, this was a wise decision because it cut the cost of his home in half. He now has access to more amenities than he could afford on his own, and he saves money every month because he's not paying to maintain a big yard and a pool. So with these examples in mind, think about how you can apply this idea to your life. Maybe you start carpooling to work, or if you need to buy an expensive tool like a table saw that you'll rarely use, you might ask friends or family if they'd be interested in co-owning the tool. And idea number 4 is let go of your ego. A lot of people buy things to impress others or portray some level of status when they really can't afford it. I'm always amazed when I meet people who drive a $100,000 car or wear a $10,000 watch, but they have no money in a savings account or a retirement fund. I understand the desire to have nice things. In fact, I have a lot of nice things. But I didn't buy those nice things until I could truly afford them. When I was building my e-commerce company, I drove an old pickup truck into the ground, and I did that while making enough money to pay for the truck 100 times over. The main point I'm making here is there's a big difference between appearing wealthy and actually being wealthy. Appearing wealthy is living paycheck to paycheck just to make your car payment, but you're actually wealthy when the interest payments from your investments can make your car payment for you. So before you spend your money, take a second and ask yourself 2 questions. First, do I really need this? If not, don't buy it? And second, am I buying this thing to impress other people? If so, drop your ego and make wiser use of your money. All right, let's shift gears and talk about 4 ideas that can help you make more money. Idea number 1 is get a second job. I was born and raised in Canada, but during my 3rd year of college, I started spending my summers in the US. That first summer, my brother and I made a total of $9,000 in 4 months, which means we just scraped by. But the second summer, we made $22,000, and by the third summer, we figured out how to make $44,000 in 4 months. And the main thing that led to that increase in income was my willingness to work more than one job. That third summer, I worked 4 jobs, and obviously they weren't all full-time. But basically, if I had an opportunity to make money, I took it, and it paid off. Now, thankfully, the same idea can pay off for you as well, especially with all of the new ways to make money. When I was in college, there were no smartphones, and Google had just become a thing, so all of the jobs I worked were manual labor. But today, there are many more ways to make money. So you can make money doing traditional things like babysitting, landscaping, or cleaning cars, but you could also make money with your cell phone or the internet by driving an Uber, delivering food, or selling things on Etsy. So the bottom line here is simple. If you're struggling to make ends meet, one way you can increase your income is by getting a second job. Idea number 2 is rent your things. Many people have valuable things that rarely get used. For example, if you work from home, consider how many hours per day your car sits in the driveway doing nothing. Thankfully, there are services that allow you to rent your things when you're not using them. To give you a few examples, you can rent out your car using a site called Turo. You could rent a spare room in your house using Airbnb, and if you have any camera gear like a GoPro or a mirrorless camera, you can rent those items using a site called ShareGrid. I recently learned about this idea after talking to a friend who's been renting out his house for photo and video shoots. He uses a site called Peerspace, and he's making thousands of dollars each month doing this, which is enough to cover his mortgage. So if you have anything worth renting and it's not getting used, consider renting it out to make some additional income. Idea number 3 is consult or freelance. I worked at a hardware store for 3 years in high school, and during that time, I learned a lot about home improvement. So when I was working those summers in the US, I took full advantage of everything I learned. So I installed flooring, I built patios, I trimmed palm trees, basically anything someone would pay me to do. And because I did good work for a good price, it wasn't long before people started referring me to their friends. The main point I'm making here is that you can increase your income by taking advantage of any skills or talents that you have. So if you're good at web design or drawing, you can sell those services on sites like Fiverr or Upwork. If you know how to play a musical instrument, you could offer to teach lessons. And if you're good at home improvement work, like I was, then see if you can pick up a few odd jobs. And idea number 4 is get paid what you're worth. Before I became an entrepreneur, I worked as a mechanical engineer, designing water and wastewater systems and then heating and air conditioning systems. I worked that job for 6 years and became a licensed professional engineer in the process, which typically comes with a significant pay bump. But during those 6 years, my salary barely changed. When I met my wife 5 years later, she was working as a project manager at a biotech company, and she was the same age I was when I was working as an engineer. The only difference is her salary was almost 3 times higher than mine at the same age. When I asked her how she managed to get paid so much, she said 2 things. First, she asked for it. She knew what she was worth, and she wasn't afraid to negotiate for more money when her boss tried to offer her a standard 2 or 3% raise. And second, she wasn't afraid to change jobs. Early on in her career, she changed jobs several times, and each move came with a 30 to 40% increase in pay. When she told me this, I realized I didn't do either of those things. When my boss gave me the standard 2% raise speech, I just said thank you and went back to my desk. And instead of looking for better paying opportunities, I convinced myself that I was lucky to have the job I had. Now, obviously, you have to be good at your job for this plan to work. My wife is great at her job, so people pay her accordingly. But I was also good at my job. I just had no idea how to negotiate a higher salary. So the main point here is simple. If there's any chance that you're currently underpaid, do yourself a favor and ask for a raise, or start looking for a better paying job. All right, I told you to have a bonus tip if you stuck around until the end, so here it is. One of the easiest ways to get stuck living paycheck to paycheck is living beyond your means. And two of the biggest contributors to living beyond your means are your home and car payments. The last thing you want to do is get into a situation where you're scraping by every month just to make your home payment or your car payment. Therefore, it's a good idea to limit the amount of money you spend on your home and your car so you have enough money for the rest of your expenses, saving, and investing. To avoid this problem, a good general rule of thumb is to spend less than 28% of your gross salary on your home and less than 10% of your take-home salary on your car. Remember that your gross salary is what you make before you pay your taxes, and your take-home is what you make after you pay your taxes. So if you make $60,000 per year and pay 35% tax, that means you should pay no more than $1,400 per month on your home and $325 per month on your car. You made it. That's the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found it helpful. If you like this video, I think you'll find this video helpful as well. And if you want more information on getting your financial life in order, I highly recommend you download my free 80/20 financial planner that I have linked below in the description. And finally, if you could help me out with the YouTube algorithm by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel, that would be awesome. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.